Hello folks, welcome back to the Wikipedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. So I hope the first two classes that you have seen were interesting, that helped you, right? You may not realize, but they connected you to the service through the subject. And I hope that before starting the subject, you are prepared with the study material that I requested you all to be. That is the first step towards your preparation for your exam, right? So in the previous lecture, we dealt with the history behind the standards on auditing, right? Actually, to say the history behind the engagement standards. And we had also seen what are the various engagement standards that we have. So today again, I'll give you a brief overview about the entire auditing standard concept, right? And take you over through the numbers only. We won't again start any of the concept of any standard on auditing in this lecture, but in the next we definitely will. We'll pick up the first standard, that is SA 200, and then serially we'll go ahead, right? And then we'll cover up all the essays. So today what I'll do is I'll introduce you to the numbers so that you are aware and you can identify, okay, if I'm talking about this section, it falls within this to this number. So when you get a topic in your examination, right, and the concept clicks, okay, this point actually refers to certain standard that was talking about such and such thing. Now what was the name of the standard? Oh yeah, this was the name of the standard, I guess. What was the number? If you don't remember the number, what is going to help you is the zone, right? You will understand that those kinds of essay that you are thinking about in your mind, they reflect or they refer to a particular zone. When you enter that zone, you will again start analyzing, okay, within this zone we have these many essays. It was not among the initial few, because initial few they talked about something like this, and the last few they talked about something like this. So basically we are left with 3-4 numbers in between. One among them was such and such essay, so we are left with 2 numbers, right? This is the essay. That is how you link in your examination when you don't know the numbers, right? So I'll help you out with that today. Fair enough? Okay. So again we'll see as to what are the types of engagement standards that we have, right? So first of all we have the standards on auditing, and we know that for the standards on auditing, what we do is that we audit the historical financial statements. So this actually refers to your core audit practice. Most of you who are going to the offices for your internship, you have been doing audit, right? Because obviously maximum vacancies in the firms are in the audit department. Some of you must be in the tax department and some for other consultancies as well, right? But people who have been on audit department, they must be very closely related to these standards. Standards on auditing. It is a benchmark of how you perform. It is a codification, right? When you want to execute a program on your computer, what you do is you copy the codes from somewhere and you execute it. You run the code and you get the output. That is exactly what is being done over here. When you want to perform your audit function, when you want to perform your or discharge your attest function, this is the program that you copy paste, right? You run this program, you go through the entire concept, you go through the fundamentals of standards on auditing. That is how you perform your audit. When you are talking about performing giving out a report, you follow SA series 700. If you're involving some external body, you follow SA 600 series, right? So this essay will actually cover the entire audit concept, what you practice in your office, right? Next we have is the standard on review engagements. So this is the standard that you would be following prior to audit if you get such an engagement. If you're not the auditor, that is the only condition when you can do these review engagements, right? So basically prior to audit there are 3 people involved in with your financial statement. One is the compiler, the person who is preparing the accounts. Second is for whom the account is being prepared, that is the management. And third, who reviews the work. And then finally the output comes to you as an auditor, right? So the third, the reviewer, the standards that is based, that is prepared, the benchmarks or the codification for the work of that reviewer is contained in the standards on review engagement. and you have just two standards specified in the standards on review engagement, that is SRE 2400 and SRE 2410. Right? SRE 2400, what is it? It is simply upon the engagements to review financial statements. That is the name of that standard. It deals with the simple plain concept behind that. And SRE 2410 is the review of the interim financial information performed by the independent auditor of the entity. So SRE 2400 basically deals with the review of the financial statement, the year-end financial statement, the complete year financial statement. And SRE 2410 deals with the interim financial reports. Right? So mid of the year interim, you know what interim is. We'll discuss it in detail when we are with the chapters. Right? We are with the standards. Next you have is the standard on assurance engagement, SAE. Now what is assurance engagement? We have talked about already, and we have taken an example for that. What is the example, if you remember? Yes, preparing project reports. Those are other assurance engagements, right? Where you give your assurance when your signature actually assures the other users that yeah, the assumptions are correct, but still your signature will nowhere assure the facts and the figures behind. Right? So if you have signed over there, people will understand that yeah, the market conditions have been checked, the SFM policies have been checked, the accounts, the fundamentals behind accounting has been checked. These things are fresh and clear, but the facts and figures may differ. So basically over here also you have just two SAE that have been notified so far. That is SAE 3400 and SAE 3402. Right? So SAE 3400 is the examination of prospective financial information. It is not retrospective, it is only the examination of prospective financial information. And SAE 3402 is the assurance report on control at a service organization. So it is not about yourself, it is about the service organization that you are involving. And you could also relate it to SA, Standards on Auditing 402, which is audit consolidation relating to an entity using a service organization. So there are two SAs and one SA and one SAE, right, that deals with the service organization. So we'll deal in detail when we are doing these standards. Next you have the SRS, Standard on Related Services. So these services are basically related to your audit and review, but these are not directly audit or review. Right? So what are related services? So basically, if you see, then for your audit or for your review, what is the basic requirement? The financial statements, right? And if the management is not able to prepare the financial statement, you will not be able to audit, you will not be able to review. So RS, Standard on Related Services, right, basically deals with the compilation services. These are the services related to your audit and review. Right? Where you compile the financial statement, again you don't know the facts, you don't check the facts, whatever data is provided by the management, you prepare your financial statements accordingly. So the checker can be assured or can still rely, right, on the standards that you have followed, on the disclosures that you have given, but they cannot rely upon the facts, they cannot rely upon the numbers, they cannot rely upon the data. If you have given some disclosure, they may not rely upon your disclosures as well, because even that becomes a threat, that becomes a risk. Because if you have given a disclosure, then you have given a disclosure based on the management's information. Management says, yeah, this is going on, sir. And you say, okay, if this is going on, then according to the SA, this is to be disclosed. And you give a disclosure. But who knows whether that is going on or not? So that the auditor will have to check. Right? So if these are related services, let them be related. Don't depend on them. And the last one you have is the standard on quality control. What is standard on quality control? This is an umbrella standard. You have just one standard over there, SQC1, right? And that provides the quality control for the above four category of standards. And this standard has the longest name among all the other standards. It says quality control for firms that perform audit and review of historical financial information and other assurance and related services. That means in the name it already said that yeah, it is the auditing services, assurance services and related services. It did not talk about review services, right? But still, you will have to follow some quality guidelines while you are performing the review as well, right? So I hope you are cleared with the category of standards that you have to prepare, and you have seen that for the middle three, the standards on review engagement, standards on assurance engagement, and standards on related services, you have just 2 standards each. And for standard quality control, it is just 1 standard. So all the other standards that you will be studying will depend on the standards on auditing. And in standards on auditing, you have 37 accounting standards, right? 37 over there plus 7 over here comes up to 44 standards that you have to prepare. And at the end, I'll also tell you which are the important essays, right, that have high probability of appearing in your examination, right? Or specifically, I would declare those essays which are not generally asked in your examinations. Others are somewhere or the other linked to your answers. And along with doing all the essays, I'll also tell you the kind of questions that can be put up from this essay, right? And for that, what are the content that you have to mug up from the particular essay. So that when you are going through the classes, you are going through your revisions, you are complete from all aspects, right? So next let us see the bifurcation of the number of engagements and the quality control standards. So we have seen the 5 of them. Now how did the institute give them the numbers? They have given them, they all fall between some series. So 1 to 99 is given to the standard on quality control, out of which only number 1 is being applicable. 100 to 899 is standards on auditing. So the entire range is given over there. So whatever standards on auditing are present, they fall within 100 to 899, right? But obviously, since you have only 37 standards on auditing, the other spaces are left blank, because if you have any more standards coming up in future, you may put it in line over there. And they have given a large space because you never know, like 50, 70 years down the line, how many standards you have. You have seen, we started with 4 standards and now we have 44 standards, right? So the rapid rate with which it is increasing, even your accounting standards, if you refer to them, you had 32 accounting standards, out of which 1 was not applicable, AS8, and 3 were never mandatory, 30, 31, 32, and they have been ruled out as it is. But now for your Indian accounting standards, IND AS, right, you have covered the concept of IAS, the International Accounting Standard, as well as IFRS. So for the topics on which IFRS has been notified, you have IFRS. For other topics, you still follow the International Accounting Standards. So you have the numberings as well, right? So the standards, the IND AS that have been copied from the International Accounting Standards, for them you have your numbers in series 0 to 44, because you had 44 International Accounting Standards. And for your IFRS, on the other hand, you have 15 IFRS that have been notified. So their numbering, they have a different series of numbering from 101 to 115, 115. So that if you have other IFRS coming up, you keep it in the 100 series, 100 plus series, right? And you don't have to change numbers if something becomes not applicable from the International Auditing Standard, Accounting Standard in the coming future. Then you will refer to the IFRS, which is in a different series itself. So our institute is also playing smart on that, because you never know what happens, right? So next is from 2000 to 2699 series, you have standards on review engagement. So we have already seen that there are 2 standards on review engagement, 2400 and 2410. Rest 698 seats are left blank, right? Similarly, you have the standard on assurance engagement from 3000 to 3699. I don't know why do they limit it to 3699. What happened to the next 300? I don't know, but yeah, that is the range. So over there also you have seen that you have just 2 standards. And at last, the 4000 to 4699 series, the standards on related services. So these are the 5 standards, and they have been bifurcated into these following series of your numbers, right? So whenever you come to them, if you are not able to remember 2400, 2410, oh my god, review engagement, oh, I think they fell under the series of 2000. So in 2000, I think you had just 2 numbers, 24 and 2410. So it's one among them. So you reach very close, right? So if you go by the number, if you want to remember it, just remember that you are going backwards. That means, first of all, what At the last, what you do is you have to comply with all the quality standards. That is the first. Then you perform audit. Before that, audit is the second. Prior to audit, what happens is the review. So it is on the 2000 series. Prior to review, or along with that, you have some assurance services as well. Yeah, that is entirely different. So that is on 300 series. And prior to review and assurance, you have that financial statement to be prepared first of all. So that is the last series, that is related services. So this is how you remember which line segment does it fall into. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Next we have the bifurcation of the number of standards on auditing. Because you have 37 standards, even they have been bifurcated. You see a long range, right? 100 to 899. There are 37 standards. So if you understand what kind of standards are present in what kind of series, on which number series, it is easier for you to identify those numbers. So 100 to 99, you have introductory matters, and for that you have no standard specified yet. Yeah, that is weird. You don't have an introduction to standards, right? But yeah, that is it. If something comes up in future, that will be inlined in 100 to 199. There is nothing from 0 to 100, right? Because that is covered in the standards of quality control. Remember? Yes. Next series from 200 to 299. Here you have the general principles and responsibilities, a generalized sector of standards on auditing. So whenever you get a question in your examination based on essay or based on any other facts, you may have to refer to points from these standards. You will not be asked a direct question from essay 200, 210, something like that, but you have to put in those points itself in your answers at other places. Right? So apparently these are some omnipresent kind of auditing standards that will be present throughout your audit. Right? Then you have 300 to 499 series, that is risk assessment and response to the assessed risk. So you have very limited 6 standards over there: 300, 315, 320, 330, 402 and 450. Right? You can see that is the difference. 300 to 499, it is not 300 to 399. So you have 4 essays in your 300 series and 2 essays in your 400 series. Right? That is risk assessment and response to assessed risk. Then you come down to the audit evidences. 500 to 599 series, one of the most important series that you have. Direct questions come from these essays. If you want to learn the numbers, these are the essays whose numbers should be on the fingertips. But yeah, if I am talking about audit evidences specifically, it is essay 560. Right? That is how you need to remember. Sorry, that is 500 series. So basically 500 is audit evidences. 560, what is 560? That is your subsequent event. You have other 520, analytical procedures. So these are the kinds of essays that you have in your audit evidences. Right? For evidences, you get the external confirmation, you have the sampling, testing, you have related parties, you have going concern check. All these kind of standards on all these topics are covered under 500 to 599 series. Then you have essays from 600 to 699 series, that is using work of others. You have just 3 standards over here where you use the work of an internal auditor or the other auditor or the audit expert. Right? And we'll discuss about them in detail when we are doing them. Then we have 700 to 799 series. This will actually link to your CARO. Whenever you are giving answers on your audit report, the kind of opinion you will give, what kind of report you will prepare, all those answers are given in audit conclusion and reporting. So your answer to all the question can be either answered from this essay or from CARO. It's better you answer from both if nothing is specified. Right? Then you have the last series, that is 800 to 899. Why do I call it last? Because from 900 to 999 you do not have any essay, that is miscellaneous. So 800 to 899 you have specialized areas. So you have basically 3 standards over there. Yeah, some of you must be confused. What is the specialized area? So specialized area, for example, is the audit statement, the financial statement, which is prepared actually in accordance with a special purpose framework. It is not the general framework that you have prepared. So these specialized areas will be covered in 800 to 899 series, and you have just 3 standards over there: 800, 805 and 810. Right? Now another special area if I talk about is the summary of financial statements. Throughout you have been dealing with financial statements. You have never been dealt with summary of financial statements. So if you want to deal with the summary of financial statement, you will have to refer to essay 810. right? So that is the kind of specialized area that we are talking about. So now I think you have a basic idea and hold upon the numbers. 1 to 99 standards on quality control, 100 to 99 doesn't matter, 900 to 999 doesn't matter. 200 series, general principles and responsibilities. How do I go about with audit? 300 and 400 series talks about the risk, how to assess risk and then how to respond to those risks which has been assessed. 500 series deals with the collection of the evidences, all the different kinds of evidences that you get. So these actually, if you see, they go in flow. First you have the general principles and responsibilities, you go what are your general responsibilities, start working accordingly. Then when you start working, first of all you have to analyze what is the risk, right, and then what is the response to the risk. Accordingly you will formulate your audit policy, how your work policy, right, your entire structure of how you are actually planning to commence your audit. Then you start getting evidences to check to minimize these risks. If you are stuck somewhere, you use the work of others, that is experts or internal auditors or somewhere, right? And then when everything is done, you come to the conclusion and the reporting. And apart from this, if there is some specialized thing you're doing, come down to the last point. That is how you remember the numbers, right? I hope this class was useful for you. It was helpful. So please stay tuned. From the next class, we'll be beginning with a discussion of specific essays. So until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off.